There are moments in a season when something happens out of nowhere, and suddenly everything shifts. That's exactly what just happened with the Ravens. An unexpected move from Eric Decosta, pulled off almost in total silence, started turning this team inside out, and nobody realized it at the time. But now, after 3 straight wins, it's clear that this quiet decision didn't just help, it might define the entire direction of the season. And the wildest part? It didn't come from a big name. It wasn't some flashy headline-grabbing deal. It wasn't anything close to what you expect from a trade deadline splash. It was something so subtle, so out of the ordinary, that it looked way too small to matter. But once you understand what actually happened, it's impossible not to see how that one choice changed the tempo of the games and became a potential turning point for the whole year. Sometimes the best decisions are the ones nobody notices. While everyone was waiting for something big at the trade deadline, Eric Decosta stayed quiet. No promises, no noise, no big show. And somehow, that low-key approach ended up being exactly what the Ravens needed. The team stacked 3 straight wins, and all of a sudden, they felt like a completely different group on the field. The funny thing is, nobody really got excited when the trades were announced. No star power, no explosive headlines. But little by little, the impact started showing. More structure, more confidence, and a defense that looked a whole lot more solid. It was like each small adjustment pushed the team back on track. None of these changes were luck. They were calculated choices, made calmly, based on what was truly missing. And the result is a Ravens team that's competing again, play with a totally different energy compared to the early weeks of the season. And the best part is that this entire turnaround has a clear symbol: the arrival of Draymond Jones. A simple, almost silent move that completely shifted the tone of the defense and gave the team exactly what was lacking at the time. When Draymond Jones arrived, most people barely noticed. It was a cheap, low-profile trade, the kind that usually flies under the radar. But the moment he stepped on the field, everything changed. Right in his debut, he showed he wasn't there to fill space. He was aggressive. He pressured the quarterback and instantly delivered what the defense had been missing in those early weeks. The impact was so immediate that it felt like he'd been in the system for months. With 4.5 sacks and 19 pressures this season, he became the team's top pass-rushing threat almost effortlessly. And the craziest part is that the Ravens got all this production for a 5th-round pick, a price so low it feels unreal considering how quickly he made a difference. But the biggest shift with Jones isn't just the numbers. It's the feeling that the defense can breathe again. The line got more aggressive, the tempo changed, and the team suddenly started bothering opposing offenses again. A pass rush that looked quiet and flat came alive out of nowhere, like it finally found someone to lead the charge. And that move only happened because another adjustment was made around the same time: the departure of Jaire Alexander. A decision that looked strange at first, but ended up opening the door for everything else to fall into place. Trading Jaire Alexander definitely surprised people. He's talented. He arrived with expectations, but the fit just wasn't there. He barely played, spent most weeks as a healthy inactive, and never looked like part of the coaching staff's long-term plan. That's when Decosta made a call most GMs don't have the guts to make. He admitted the mistake and moved on, sending Alexander to the Eagles' open cap space, and more importantly, opened a path to reinforce the spots that actually needed help. It was a strategic move, not an emotional one. No point in forcing something that wasn't working. It was time to turn a bad fit into a real opportunity. And in the end, that move directly paved the way for Draymond Jones to arrive. Everything lined up in a way that made it obvious the trade wasn't about the player leaving. It was about building the roster the right way. Baltimore didn't lose anyone contributing, but gained the flexibility to fix what truly mattered. But that wasn't the only defensive change that mattered. Even before the deadline, another arrival was already reshaping the system: Alohi Gilman.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
When Alohi Gilman joined the team, things were still rough for the Ravens. The defense looked lost, giving up big plays and struggling to slow down anyone. But the moment he took over as a deep field anchor, everything started lining up. He brought stability, communication, and a sense of security the team had been missing since week one. What makes his arrival even more interesting is how it freed up Kyle Hamilton to play near the line of scrimmage, where he's truly dominant. With Gilman behind him, Hamilton no longer had to split responsibilities. He could focus on attacking, blitzing, and shutting down short areas. That simple shift completely changed the defense's behavior. And the numbers back it up. Since Gilman stepped into the system, the Ravens haven't allowed more than 20 points in a single game. Before that, it was happening constantly. His 16 tackles already show how active he's been, but the impact goes way beyond stats. He brought order to a unit that looked disconnected. When you combine Gilman's stability with Jones' impact, you start to see how Decosta'S quiet, subtle moves created a transformation no one saw coming. The most impressive part is how these decisions, all small, all low profile, ended up changing the entire trajectory of the season. No splash moves, no blockbuster trades, no national buzz, just precision, awareness, and the courage to fix exactly what needed fixing at the right time. A defense that once looked disorganized and vulnerable started playing with new energy. The pass rush came alive, the secondary got tighter, and the entire system felt more connected. Baltimore went back to competing, pressuring, controlling games, all because of decisions made quietly, almost unnoticed. These moves also helped define a clearer identity. Instead of trying to fix everything at once, Decosta'S focused on the right spots and found players who truly changed how the defense operates. Jones brought aggression. Gilman brought stability. The trades created flexibility. And all those pieces finally fit together. When you look at the big picture, it's obvious that this recent turnaround started right there, with decisions that didn't look big at the time, but ended up changing everything. In the end, every move that seemed small ended up shaping the season's turnaround. Decosta'S' silent decision cleared space, brought in Draymond Jones at the perfect moment, corrected the course with Jair Alexander's departure, and added Alohi Gilman as the stabilizing force that reorganized the defense. None of it made noise at the time, but together these adjustments changed the team's energy, gave them rhythm and confidence, and pulled the Ravens out of chaos into a stretch of steady, controlled performances, exactly when the season needed it most. Now the question is, which of these moves do you think made the biggest impact at this crucial moment? Because looking ahead, everything points to these unexpected decisions becoming the turning point that defines how far this team can go. If the impact was already this strong in such a short time, imagine what could happen now that everything is finally aligned.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.